Welcome all the learners. Myself is Dr. Rajni Bala, Associate Professor, CAV College, Amritsar. Now, as we all know that plants, they take water from the soil through the roots. But in soil, how many types of water is present? Today we will discuss that is soil water, and how the plant absorbs water. So our today's topic is soil water and absorption of water by the plants. Now, as we all know, soil is upper weathered crust, and this is rich in soil air along with soil water. Organic matter also is there, and inorganic matter, that is the minerals, are also present there. Now, in soil, the main source of water is, one is natural, that is rain, and the second is irrigation, which is the man-made. Now, when water falls on the soil through rain or through irrigation, then in soil it attains how many forms? That we'll discuss today. Now, first of all, when the rain comes or when the irrigation is there, some of the water that flows away or drains away due to the slope. This is called run-away water. Run-away water. Now, the rest of the water that enters the soil, and then after entering the soil, what happens to this water? Now, in the soil, there are present particles of different sizes. Now, if the bigger particles, like sand, is there, sand is having size 0.02 to 2 millimeter size. Now, these bigger size particles, they enclose bigger spaces among them. Now, these bigger spaces, they are called macropores. Now, if water comes across the macropores, that flows through the macropores due to the force of gravity and becomes the part of groundwater. Now, the plant roots of the normal plants that reach only to the height of 1 to 2 meters, and this much depth of soil is said to be the fertile soil. Now, if the water seeps down due to the force of gravity and becomes the part of groundwater, then can it be absorbed by the plant roots? If the roots are not there, so this form of water can't be absorbed by the plants. Only few plants whose roots reach to the groundwater, they are called the phractophytes. Phractophytes. These plants have been used since the 5th century AD for the finding of water at the particular places. So these plants have got a much longer roots. For example, a tamarix plant that has got the length of root 52.5 meter. So in the ancient times where this plant grows, it means water is present there. Then in the soil there are also present clay particles. The clay particles, they are having size less than 0.002 millimeter. Now the small particles, they tend to enclose small spaces. So these small spaces become the micropores. Micropore size 20 micrometer or less than 20 micrometer. So in these micropores, the water gets held due to the force of capillarity. So because water gets held due to the force of capillarity, this is called capillary water. Now, because this water is present in the soil and trapped in the micropores, this water can be absorbed by the plant roots, but not 100%. Only 75% water can be absorbed of this capillary water. Now why not 100%, only 75%? Because the micropores which are less than the diameter of root hairs, there the root hairs can't reach, so water can't be absorbed. This capillary water, 25%, almost 25% water can't be absorbed. Then another form of water, that water, if gets adsorbed over the soil particles due to the adhesive force, that is called adhesive water, or that is called hygroscopic water. Now this water that is retained with much force around the soil particles. So again, this water can't be absorbed by the plant roots. Then in the soil there are present certain chemicals. So fourth form of water, that is chemically combined water. For example, if zinc is present there or the zinc sulfate is present there, the 7 molecules, they get combined with this chemical. So next form of water is chemically combined water or structural water. Chemically combined water or structural water. So again, because this is bound with these chemicals, this form of water can't be absorbed by the plant roots. Then at the noontime, due to high temperature, some of the water that gets converted into vapors. Now again, as we know, the vapors, they can't be absorbed by the plant roots. So next form of water is water vapors. But at night time, due to cold temperature, these vapors sometimes they condense and they attain the liquid form, and then this water can be absorbed by the roots. That is called night recovery. But this is not as important as the capillary water. So we have studied how many forms of water in the soil. Runaway water, as the name indicates, runaways. Okay. Then there is gravitational water, which become the part of groundwater. This is gravitational water. Gravitational water. This water is the gravitational water, not available to the plant. Okay. And then capillary water, 75% available to the plants. Then there is hygroscopic water, not available to the plant. Then chemically combined water, not available to the plant. and then water vapors again not available to the plant until and unless there is night recovery. So now we all know the different forms of water present in the soil. Now first of all, we learn what is field capacity of the soil. Field capacity of the soil. Different soils, they have different field capacity. But what is this field capacity? Now, field capacity is amount of water retained per unit dry weight of the soil when the percolation has just stopped. When the percolation has just stopped, the amount of water which gets retained in the soil, that forms a field capacity of the soil. Now, as we know, the clay particles, they are very small in size. They will enclose much more microspaces. So, they will be having much amount of capillary water. So, field capacity of clay soil will be more. Now, sand particles, which enclose more macropores, there the field capacity that will be less. Now, if the rain that continuously falls, there is incessant rain, what happens? The water table, what is water table? Water table is the maximum saturated layer of the soil, water table. Now, if there is incessant rain, this soil above the water table, that also becomes saturated. Then the water stops going into the groundwater. That gets retained in the soil. So all the air spaces, they get filled up with the water. Then the soil is called waterlogged. If the water stops going downward and instead fills the air spaces, then the soil becomes waterlogged soil. There the roots can't survive for a longer time. Now, if there is not rain for many days or weeks, then what happens? This capillary water, that gets used up, and then the plants, they show the first sign of permanent wilting, or the first sign of wilting. At this first sign of wilting, the water is present in the soil, but that water is what water? Hygroscopic water, chemically combined water, or the water vapors. Capillary water has been finished. So, there is term permanent wilting coefficient. Is abbreviated as PWP. What is permanent wilting coefficient? This is the amount of water present per unit dry weight of the soil per unit dry weight of soil when the plant shows just the first sign of wilting. The clay soil has maximum permanent wilting percentage because of hygroscopic water, water vapors, chemically combined water. The water is still present there, but it's not available to the plants. So next we will study how the plant roots they absorb water. Now how the plant roots they absorb water from the soil then. This capillary water, this 75% water which is available to the plant roots. Now there are two methods. One is active uptake or absorption, and the second method is passive uptake or absorption. Now this constitutes hardly 2% of the total water uptake, and this passive, this constitutes the 98% of the total water uptake. So we'll be discussing here only this passive water uptake. Now how this passive water uptake occurs? This uptake occurs just like as we are standing on the roof and pulling a rope from below. So very interesting. Now for this passive uptake, where the force is generated, the force is generated at the shoot level. Now what comes in the shoot? In the shoot comes the stems, leaves, flowers, fruits, everything that comes in the branches of the stem, shoot level. Now how the force is generated at the shoot level? Now the maximum water loss that occurs from the leaves through the stomata. So first we will see somewhat about the leaf anatomy. This is the palisade parenchyma, which encloses the little intercellular spaces, and then there is spongy parenchyma, which enclose a big intercellular spaces, and these intercellular spaces, they are connected with the outer environment through the stomata. And then there run veins in the leaf. Now the veins of leaf, they are connected with the veins of stem, and in turn these veins of stem, they are connected with the roots. Now this is vein of stem, then around the xylem of the root there comes first pericycle cell, then comes the endodermis, then comes the multi-layered cortex, and then comes the root hair. Now I made a root hair because root hair has the more absorption area than the other epiplumous cells. So this is pericycle cell, this is endodermal cell, and this is cortex, and this is root hair cell. Now, how this passive uptake of water occurs? As I told you, the force, the pulling force that is generated at the shoot level. Now what happens? Near vicinity of the leaf that is very much dry due to high temperature, there is very less water content. But these intercellular spaces enclosed in the spongy parenchyma, they are full of water. And always what happens? The water that flows from high potential to the low potential. So this water enclosed in the intercellular spaces that comes out in response to dry environment of the atmosphere. Then the water content in the intercellular space decreases, and then from where water comes in the intercellular spaces, it comes from the spongy parenchyma cells. Now the water level in spongy parenchyma cell decreases. Now in nature, everything that wants to maintain balance. Now the spongy parenchyma cell, they take water from the adjoining mesophyll cells, and this mesophyll cell ultimately they take water from the xylem of the vein, from the xylem of the vein of the leaf. Now the xylem of the leaf that is connected with the xylem of the stem, which in turn is connected with the xylem of root. Inside the plant there is formed a continuous system. Now if xylem of leaf takes, if the xylem of leaf gives water to the mesophyll tissue, it becomes deficient of water, but is connected with the xylem of stem, it takes water from the xylem of the stem. Suppose there is no root. Now we can imagine what will happen if there is no root. This xylem of stem, xylem of leaf, they will come under tension. As we can feel, a force is being generated. They will come under tension. So this force that is called transpiration pull. Why this is called transpiration pull? Because this coming out of water from the leaf interior into the outer atmosphere in the vapor form, this is what? This is transpiration. So this is the big force for uptake of water. Now but the root is connected with the stem xylem. Now the stem xylem that will take water from the xylem of root. Xylem of root will in turn take water from pericycle. Pericycle will take from endodermal cell. Endodermal cell from the cortex cell, and this cortex cell ultimately from the soil water through the root hair. So root hair, they have the maximum absorption area in whole of the root structure. Root hair zone has maximum absorption area. So this was which water which we earlier discussed. This is 75% capillary water. So as I told you earlier, this is much like we are standing on the roof and pulling a rope. Now, what will be the pathway attained inside the water for the movement? The pathway for the passive water uptake is apoplast. Apoplast is what? This is non-living continuum inside the various parts of the plant. In non-living continuums, what comes? Cell wall and intercellular spaces. So this is the region where least resistance is being offered to the flow of water. Now as this transpiration pull, this force becomes a 20 atmosphere. So it comes through the least resistant pathway very fast, and it constitutes the 98% of the total water uptake.